Well, good evening and thank you very much, Karon Jenga. I mean, that's right. We've been here at the coast for the last 4 days. It has been a week of deep conversations and, of course, intelligence engagement here with various players coming together from engineers, architects, quantity surveyors, security officials, and, of course, senior government officials to discuss the future of the construction industry here in Kenya and, of course, the challenges, bedeviling this critical sector. Today has seen the culmination of this week-long event, and now joining us on the set is the Acting Secretary for the National Building Inspectorate. This is Architect Lawrence Mwaura. He's going to take us through the recommendations and what's the way forward for the multi-sectoral agency consultative committee. Thank you very much indeed, Architect, for joining us. I mean, the last 4 days has been marathon, meetings after meetings, deliberations, questions, deep conversations. I just want to hear from you. How would you describe the last 4 days?
Thank you, Brian, for having me in the studio today, and thank you, KBC, for having with us in this retreat. This has been a working retreat where we've had stakeholders in the building industry, from the regulators, that is the regulators for architects and engineers, and the regulators for contractors, that is NCA, being coordinated by the National Building Inspectorate on behalf of the State Department for Public Works, together with all the other key stakeholders, NEMA, Water Resource Authority, and our key partners, the county government. We've had 6 county governments, the Nairobi metropolitan counties of Nairobi, Kajiado, and Kiambu, also joined by the county governments from Nakuru, Uasin Gishu, and our host here in Mombasa. We have been discussing the efforts and the achievements in the last 1 year, reflecting on our last retreat last year, and also charting a way forward, listening to one another on the lessons learned, the challenges we faced during our inspection and audit in the last 1 year, and charting a way forward for the industry in the coming days.
I know there has been conversation around the challenges facing the construction industry, from lack of skilled manpower to lack of capacity, at the county level, to issues of unqualified personnel, invading this meeting. Are there new and emerging challenges facing the construction industry that have been highlighted in the meeting?
Yes, thank you. We have discussed quite a number of challenges that we faced during our inspection and audit tours across the county. And key among them is statutory compliance. We have many projects in this country where the projects are not approved, but yet they're being constructed. We have projects where we have no contractors. We have projects with issues of regulatory compliance where we have no architects, no engineers, and others where we have architects, the designs that have been approved are not as per the building code. I won't tell you, Brian, I think we have a cultural issue in our country. We have a problem. We have developers who've decided that they'll comply on paper. They'll get an architect to design a project, take it for approval, and then put the architect aside, get another office, somebody who comes with an architect, another engineer, and a contractor, and register the same project by NCA. And those documents also get to NEMA. But when we go to inspections, a good number of those projects, you do not see any presence, any evidence of the presence of an architect or an engineer in those projects. But when we check on the board, they have complied. So this is one of the things that we are going to, we've devised ways in the short term and long term to be able to see these loopholes. Our counties, we've been to counties, and it's important to note that development control is a devolved function. It's the people charged are are the people in the departments of urban planning at the counties, and these are devolved function from the cabinet secretary under PLUPA to the CECM and the director planning. But most counties in this country have no experts, no dedicated engineers and architects. Indeed, O'Brien, we've been to counties where plans are being approved, and in that committee, there's no architect, and if there's an engineer, he's from the municipalities, because when the counties were forming municipalities, the World Bank was quite strict that they must have professionals. So it's a mix, and of course, you also have challenges at the State Department. After devolution, there was a thinking that public works is a devolved function, all public works, but you also note that there's a lot of work from the national government that is happening in the counties. There are schools, there are technical institutions, secondary schools, there are NGCDF projects happening across the country without supervision from the State Department of Public Works. But these are issues that have since been addressed. The State Department for Public Works had a revised staff establishment approved last year. We hope that in the coming days we will recruit enough staff to re-establish the regional offices where not just the Mother State Department but also the National Building Inspectorate would have staff there to engage the other stakeholders and possibly farm regional MSACs in those areas.
I'll be coming up to the to NBI or the National Building Inspectorate. But before we get there, I want to find out from you, I mean, the MSAC, or the Multi-Sectoral Agency Consultative Committee, has been around since 2015. And now there is a feeling that it needs to be transformed from a committee into something permanent. And that is one of the issues that was supposed to be discussed here. Is there a consensus on the way forward?
We've had discussions on that issue of the multi-sector committee and its gazettement and giving it legal teeth. But this is a lengthy matter. It will be discussed further. But we have some guidelines, and one of them, the key and takeaway, is that we would want some gazettement through via legal notice. We'll be getting to our CS and our PS in the coming days to see how the multi-sector agency could be gazetted via legal notice, so that at least it's anchored in law and we are able to enforce, and beyond that, to also secure a budget line. The multi-sector agency performs a very key role because it brings together, as you saw during the week, all the players in the industry on one table discussing one matter, the building industry. So it's important that we are well-resourced, we have some bit of funding, and we can only achieve this if we are recognized in law. And when the MSAC was formed through an executive order in 2015, it was supposed to be a temporal committee, you know, to develop guidelines and give recommendations on how to improve the built environment in Kenya. 8 years down the line, do we really need to have MSAC, or have we gotten to a point whereby we need to look at the executive order and ask ourselves on what we need to do to move forward? Through O'Brien, these committees are meant to be temporal, possibly 3 years, and they should serve their purpose, and something else should come up. And it is true that MSAC was the first entity to be formed, but thereafter it gave birth to the formation of the National Building Inspectorate. But if you look at the role of the National Building Inspectorate, its role is one, technical. We are doing inspections, we are doing audits, we are doing testing and quality assurance, but beyond that, we are collaborating. We are bringing together all the players in one room to coordinate. So what I see and what this retreat feels is that the role of MSAC is not temporal, because the issue of building consists and pertains many stakeholders. So these stakeholders must at all times be able to be brought together in one group to discuss the issues. You see, you build on a plot when you are doing a building, it's on land. There's a road next to it, so the road agencies will come in. The function you're doing is a devolved unit. In the devolved unit, we have a department of urban planning. There are the issues of engineers and architects. So for us to bring this together, the thinking is that beyond MSAC, we should have the integrated e-building system, the one-stop shop where all matters building and approval, development control would happen. So that if you are a developer, you load your plans on the system, and all the players from the county government, NEMA, NCA, Water Resource Authority, the regulators are able to access those documents at point of application and review them. Of course, fastening the process and also improving on ease of doing business as a country.
You know, there is a school of thought that the more the agencies or the more the personnel, the more the bureaucracy and the more the red tape. The built environment, as it's currently constituted, is really a qualified opinion that it is over-regulated, because look at the players that are there. You have the BORACs, or the Board of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors. You have the Engineers Board of Kenya. You have the National Building Inspectorate. You have the National Construction Authority. You have the counties. Do we really need to add more agencies into this industry, or do we even need to cut them?
The building industry is a very complex industry, and it has many stakeholders, and these stakeholders cannot be engaged from one point of action. So indeed we need many agencies, but as I said, we need to coordinate them from a central area. That is the reason we need the multi-sectoral consultative committee that should meet, that should bring all these players together. Because as I said, buildings are complex and the stakeholders are many, and they must be brought together to chart a way as one.
Let's turn on to the counties where, I mean, yesterday, you know, there was a presentation around the role of counties in the built environment. And what came out is the fact that less than 10 counties, they have qualified personnel or technical personnel. And what I'm talking about, well, I'm talking about engineers, architects, and quantity surveyors. The others, they operate without the services of these critical people. And that's why, and this is somehow eroding the gains that has been made in the construction industry. What is the way forward in capacitating counties to ensure that they have qualified personnel to look into this industry?
Yeah, true. You know, our recent inspection and audits and interactions with the counties are seriously lacking in terms of dedicated technical personnel in the areas of development control. It's worth noting that counties are collecting a lot of money, a lot of revenue from development control fees. It's important that the counties put back some of this money in recruiting staff to be able to help this industry. From this retreat, part of the resolutions is that the PS and the CS will be giving a guideline to the counties on the staffing levels that are required for the Department of Building Control, Building and Development Control, so that we can be able to seal these loopholes. Beyond these, beyond counties, beyond the staff that is the county government, our counties have also not been attracting architects and engineers to operate in the counties. If you go to my county, Nyandarua, there is no architect practicing in Kalau, or if there is, this one, maybe who comes from Nairobi once in a while. We must, when we see the loopholes where the only people submitting drawings or the only professionals submitting drawings are the qualified architects and engineers, then there will be an opportunity, one, for the private sector to grow, and secondly, for the people who are employed by the counties to be employed. But that said, the county public service board must also improve on the remuneration status of this staff. Many counties have hired professionals, but after a while, when they find greener pastures elsewhere, they move. So we have counties without staff, they hire and they go because they are unable to retain these skilled personnel.
And a case in point is the man seated in front of us, Architect Lawrence Muigai? No,
Gitau.
I mean Gitau. You are the CEC for land and in Nyandarua County. You found greener pastures in Nairobi and you came. And so you have a situation whereby Nyandarua County, which is a fairly underdeveloped county now, they don't have any the services of an architect. And so, and I also know, and I appreciate the fact that, hiring and retaining an architect is an expensive undertaking. And I was going through the fees and remuneration of an architect, and a senior architect, you require 100,000 shillings every day, to keep them. And you don't have any counties who can afford to do this. So what needs to be done to ensure that counties, they recruit qualified and they retain qualified personnel?
Counties need to review the scheme of service for architects and engineers specifically, so that they are able to retain them. They must be remunerated in equal times, commensurate with their partners in the private sector. Because without proper remuneration, without proper terms of service, then they may not be retained. But beyond that, I think county governments should also explore ways to hire these professionals who are unable to be retained on contract and or outsource them. We are looking at a system where if we got into a national integrated e-building system, the counties may be able to tap the resources in other areas, say in the State Department of Public Works. The State Department of Public Works has many architects, has a rich pool of architects. And these architects should be used. We have a role as the State Department to support the counties. And the counties are free to explore this. I'll tell you, when we were in Nyandarua, when I was a chief officer there, we tapped into the resources, into the human resource at the State Department when we were doing the county headquarters, EM complex, and we have superb designs from the State Department and also the project management and a few other projects when there. So if you are in the county, you are a governor, you are the CCM urban planning, and you do not have the skills, if you have a project that you feel that you do not have capacity to evaluate, the State Department, reach out to the State Department. We have a rich pool of experts, architects, engineers, quant surveyors who can review these documents for you.
Very good. As we wind up, you were talking about capacitating and, of course, ensuring that the NBI is well staffed. What are you looking at going forward as we wind up?
We're looking at achieving a staffing levels of over 100 people. We are looking at presence in the county.
Technical people?
Yes, majority of them technical people, architects, engineers. And when I talk engineers, we want to have structural engineers, mechanical engineers, and electrical engineers. And O'Brien is a key takeaway from this retreat. There will be some guidelines that will be coming, been agreed upon. Who are here, that is all the agencies and the counties. One, there will be guidelines to the architects so that the regulators are empowered and they are able to know what the architects are doing. The same with the engineers to NCA, where we will require that they re-engineer their project registration, where in the project registration, they not only register who is the contractor, but the contractor should come with a profile of who will be on site, and also who will be the client's representative. When we've gone for enforcement, O'Brien, I'll tell you, when you get to a case, you can only take the owner or the occupier to court. We've asked NCA to re-engineer their project registration so that the developer's representative is permanently on site. And when we go, we get him and he's held to account.
Very good. Lawrence Gitau, architect, thank you very much indeed for being with us tonight, and of course for enlightening us on what's the way forward and the issues that have been discussed during the MSAC retreat.
Thank you very much. To be back on studio again to discuss these matters. Thank you.
Architect Lawrence Getau is the acting secretary to the National Building Inspectorate. I mean, it's been a long day. And of course, joining us here so that he can shed more light on the way forward and of course, the resolutions around MSAC committee. Well, my name is O'Brien Kimani. Thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight. You're watching the Prime Edition. It's Thursday, and of course, we are taking a break, and thereafter, Wairimu Jenga will be back with more stories. Stay right here on KBC Channel 1.